You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor. Subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments below. And be sure to smash that like button. Shea Dixon joins us every Tuesday here. Talk a little recruiting. Shady, how are you, man?
I'm doing excellent considered. This is a few of those stretches of the year, like regional week, where I look at the tweet that you put out and you list every baseball coach that LSU is about to play in a regional, and then you get an SEC network post, and I'm still on it and didn't get bumped to tomorrow or Monday. So I feel special.
People love their recruiting news, Shay. They got to have it, man. As long as you're here for it, we're here for it every week. And it's it coincides, Shay, with a giant time on the recruiting calendar because the official visits are starting. Let's start with this past weekend. All three LSU wide receiver commits were on campus. What can you tell us?
Yeah, Tristan Keys, who coming out of my alma mater, and I'm not going to scream about it. And
you should. I mean, if you actually had something to scream about, to be proud, you could. Whatevs.
Well, Hattiesburg High got the number one receiver in the country. He's committed to LSU. So I'll keep it on a low tone, though, until signing day.
Yeah.
So it's like many months away. But, yeah, he was in town. You got Jabari Mack out of Destrehan, who is another top 10 receiver, top 50 overall prospect, regardless of position. He's committed. And then Kenny Darby out of North Louisiana Airline, who, as a junior, led the state in receiving. All three of those guys, regardless of position, Matt, are ranked inside the top 200 recruits in the country on three. And a big part of why LSU's got the number one recruiting class right now with 9 commits. So to get them all in at one time and on unofficial visits before official visit season starts and kind of are focused on every position was pretty big. And look, we talked about it recently, Ja'Kai Anderson. They had 4 commits. Ja'Kai coming out of McDonough 35 in New Orleans and flipped to SMU. So now you've got these 3 guys. So I think for Sloan and Hankton and the staff to get those guys in town, put them around each other, let them start to build on that rapport, kind of only strengthens the grip that you have on the likelihood that the 3 of them stick. And look, even if you don't add anybody more and then recruiting other receivers, but these 3 alone would be right up there for the best, wide receiver haul in the country.
Jay, is there any scuttle about any of those 3 looking around?
The Louisiana guys are locked in. I mean, Destrehan is great to LSU, so Jabari Mack seems locked in, and he was being recruited by, even Oregon. As far away as you can get was recruiting him, and he shut things down before official visits. And Kenny Darby out of Airline, like I said, led the state in receiving, commits to LSU, and he has doubled down since and tripled down of, hey, look, I'm not even making visits. I don't think Mack will either, but he's all LSU. But Tristan Keys kicks it off with Miami this weekend, and then LSU gets the final official visit in June. These were all kind of planned even before he committed to LSU a couple of months ago, and not a shock that he's sticking with him. He is the number one receiver in the country, and the reality of it is that, look, Tristan Keys' coaches had brought him around to a bunch of colleges when he was kind of coming up through Hattiesburg High and getting offers and all of that. Now this is his chance for his mom to go with him everywhere and see the schools. But to wrap it up with LSU, to be committed to LSU, to have been on campus this past weekend, you're sitting in as good of a spot as you can for an out-of-state kid who, fortunately, is a border state player, but when it comes to a 5-star number 1 player, especially at a position like receiver.
We'll get right back to the video, but thrilled to welcome Our Lady of the Lake to AFR LSU. As the championship health partner of LSU athletics, the physicians at Our Lady of the Lake serve the champions on the field in the purple and gold, but that same level of care is available to you and your family. I've been a proud supporter of Our Lady of the Lake my entire life, from volunteering at the Ronald McDonald Playroom as a high schooler to helping so many of the fundraising efforts for the standalone Children's Hospital, to my own son being a patient now at that very Children's Hospital, and my primary care physician, Dr. Kurt Chastain, at Our Lady of the Lake Men's Health Group. Our Lady of the Lake has been a part of my medical journey my entire life, and you can learn more as well. Our Lady of the Lake and LSU. Together, we roar. Shay, Haven Finney was also on campus. Remind us his backstory and why this was a big deal for him to be on campus now.
Yeah, Haven Finney is a kid who we're in the current 26 class, so all the kids that will sign in December 2026 recruits. And he reclassified from 2027 into 2026 and pretty quickly committed to LSU. And they don't sign a lot of California kids. He plays out at Sierra Canyon in L.A., but his family has ties back here. He's still got family in Mississippi, and I think that between playing on Team Flow, AAU, which was a Louisiana-based, or not AAU, and 7-on-7, but a Louisiana-based team, so he got to know a lot of those guys and got close with Corey Raymond early on. And his parents are friends. We've gotten close with Eli Rick's parents, and obviously Rick signed with LSU and went to LSU up through when Corey was on staff, so that connection didn't hurt. And ultimately, Finny says, hey, look, this is where I want to play. And USC was the other school that was in on him, and they've loaded up on corners after he came off the board. So it looks like he's one that's going to stick, but again, it's an unofficial visit, so he gets to come back for an official visit with his family later on. And in what will be a smaller corner class, because I think we're finally getting to see Corey Raymond develop the DJ Woodlands and Jakeem Jackson, who transferred in, and, the list goes on of guys who are back there. Ashton Stamps, Michael Turner, who made that move from coming out of Curtis, playing receiver to playing DB. Like, they finally do have that opportunity to develop. So I could see them signing 2, maybe 3 corners, but Finney is going to be the highest ranked guy they sign, so getting him to campus anytime is a good thing.
He's on Twitter at Shea Dixon. Good time to sign up over at On3 The Bengal Tiger with official visit season happening. And speaking of which, Shay, 12 official visitors this coming weekend in Baton Rouge. Let's talk a little bit about the headliners. Who's going to be on campus this week?
Yeah, no, it's usually, you'll have 5 guys, 7 guys, and maybe once hit double digits over the next month of when kind of official visit season is really kicking into high gear for every college football team around the country. So why not start it off with 12 guys? You've got about the heaviest weekend you can get, and I think you've got to begin with kind of a 1A and 1B of the 5-star, Emanuel Ionacho, who, coming out of Maryland, Matt, this is an offensive tackle. He's the number 2 offensive tackle, number 1 offensive tackle. He's kind of flip-flopped a bit there, but a top 3 overall player. He and Jackson Cantwell, another player, offensive tackle, have kind of jumped each other a bunch, but he's considered widely one of the most coveted recruits still on the board. He's uncommitted. And LSU went from kind of a dark horse to even make like a top 8 to their, like, Steve Wiltfong, On3's one of On3's national reporters that we have, feels like, hey, look, beyond a team like Oregon, maybe LSU is the next team up, which would be a massive surge up his list. So this weekend is key, getting him in town for an official with kind of the decision makers around this process and him really getting a feel for LSU. And he'll do so at the same time as a lot of other high-profile recruits, including a quarterback. They don't have one committed right now. Obviously, we know how the Bryce Underwood commitment and flip to Michigan happened kind of in the 11th hour there for him this past cycle. They didn't sign a high school quarterback. They did go get an SEC starter in Van Buren out of the portal, as Nussmeier's backup, we presume, but not signing a high school quarterback, you're not going to do that 2 years in a row. So who do you get now? And Bo Bentley is the top 5 quarterback on 3. He's uncommitted, and he's now down to just LSU and Oklahoma. And in the span of 7 days, he'll be on both campuses. It'll be LSU this weekend, Oklahoma the following weekend, and he's a Texas kid coming out of Salina. So after that, I wouldn't be surprised if in short order, or at some point before his senior year begins, he's going to go ahead and make his decision between those 2 teams. And we'll find out if LSU gets a top 5 quarterback or if they have to pivot to the next guy on Joe Sloan's board.
Shay, who else, by the way, will be, you mentioned a dozen, that's the top 2. Who else notably will be on campus this weekend?
Yeah, it's kind of, I think I counted it earlier, of the 12 kids, more than half of them are ranked in the top 50, regardless of position on 3. But Jalen Lott is a kid who's coming out of Texas. He's a number 2 athlete in the whole country, but top 10 player in Texas. We talked about the wide receivers. They have 3 committed, and maybe the best receiver class in the country, you could argue for sure right now. But one of the top remaining targets, Calvin Russell, a kid out of Florida, top 5 player in Florida, top 5 receiver in the country. He'll be back on campus. The list kind of goes on and on. Let me try to look in here at some of the edge rusher group that Kevin Peoples is bringing in, and Blake Baker's impressive. Jamarian Carlton's a kid out of Temple, Texas. He's a top 10 edge rusher, top 5 player in Texas. Trenton Henderson out of Florida. He's a top 5 player in Florida, top 5 edge rusher in this class. So deep group there. And look, even on the D-line, I guess we kind of break it up, Matt, into your edge rushers or your ends and your stand-up guys, and your D-line are going to be your tackles and nose tackles. But Deuce Gerald's out of Georgia is the number 5, top 5 D-lineman, top 100 player. But his dad played at Scotlandville and signed with Frank Wilson at Ole Miss. So he's still got a lot of family in Baton Rouge. Obviously, he told me before, grew up kind of beyond rooting for Ole Miss, and his dad had played there, but being a fan of LSU because that's where all of his family was from. So even though he's got Georgia next to his name, and that's where he's ranked in kind of the state rankings coming out of Collins Hill, I think a lot of people consider him to be have enough Baton Rouge ties to where it's pretty notable. And now that he's a top 5 D lineman in the country, it felt like only yesterday that he was coming up through the ranks and had gotten an offer, and was a sophomore in high school. Now he's about to be a senior, and lo and behold, one of the best players in America. So we'll see if Frank Wilson can't, and Kyle Williams, who obviously is your new D-line coach, but can't pull some magic from back in the Ole Miss days and work those connections on a guy like Deuce Gerald's.
Couple more. Tigers, by the way, going into this weekend, do still have the number 1 class on 3. Shay, it's interesting because, and I'd like you to explain this if you would, LSU's got 9 commitments. Southern Cal is second with 26 commitments. Then Ohio State with 13, Notre Dame with 16, Georgia with 9. Can you explain that right there about how that breakdown happens?
Yeah, and I think it's best explained by the 1-2, the teams that are at 1 and 2 right now. LSU has 9 commits, as you said. 2 of them are 5 stars, 6 of them are 4 stars, and they've got 1 3-star. But 8 of the 9 are ranked in the top 200, and I think, five of the 9 maybe are ranked in the top 100. So, yeah, you've got 9, but boy, is that a good 9. And then you look at USC, they've got 26, but they don't have a 5-star committed. 16 of them are 4 stars, and 9 of those guys, the same number of commits that LSU has, are 3-star prospects. So I think the old way of thinking was it almost was the more commits you get, the better your class ranking got, and it wasn't too long ago when Shane and Terry started Rivals and 24/7 and now on 3, kind of came up with the idea of a rolling average as the year goes on to get a better feel for where everyone stands. So right now we count your top 8 commits, so all but one of LSU's commits. That gives them the number 1 class, and it usually caps out around 17 or 18, and the thought is, on average, if you sign 25, maybe 17, 16, 18 of those guys ultimately are key pieces to your class and contribute, and that's the best way to judge it, as opposed to I took 25, you took 33, Musso took 48 kids, and then how do you go through all of that? So we figured it's easier to just do a rolling average and just say, let's cap it at whatever number the average might be, 16, 17, 18 in the end of your best commits, and rank them from there.
Before we go, one guy that'll help whoever's class he lands in is Lamar Brown. His officials visit this week. He'll be in Miami. What can you tell us about the push the Canes are making there with the U-High prospect?
Yeah, and look, they're not short on recruiting well in the Cristobal era, and even more so in the NIL era. They've done very well. We've seen LSU even win, though, some head-to-head battles with Miami, who's kind of viewed as an Oregon-type team where, Bill Knight gives them an empty checkbook to go get some recruits. And obviously with the House settlement and rev share, all that will get reeled in a bit. But in the wild, wild west, it's been the past couple of years, Miami has done a very good job of recruiting. And Lamar will be down there this weekend. So will Tristan Keys, the 5-star wide receiver commit out of LSU. So they'll be there at the same time. And then we talked about it before. He had put Texas on his OV list, but I still think the two teams that anyone should be monitoring the most would be A&M and LSU, and they both have official visits to come. LSU will get the final win, and I still have LSU out front. I do think they're ultimately going to sign him, but I still think the biggest threat right now is A&M, just because they're the team that's done the best job of building relationships kind of across the staff, the personnel, and everything else with Lamar and his camp. But I like where LSU sits for the local U High prospect, and he's sort of jockeyed back and forth. Richard Anderson out of Carr is a 5-star as well, and those two have both been ranked number one in the state at some point. But Anderson on the D-line, Lamar Brown wants to play D-line, even though I think he could be O-line or D-line in college. We have him, Matt, ranked as the number one athlete, and I cannot recall a time when a 300-pounder was ranked as the number one athlete, but he's deserving of it because college coaches are telling him, hey, look, we're not lying to get you here. Whichever position you want to play, we're taking you. So he said he wants to play some D-line. He's been recruited by Peoples and Kyle Williams, so we'll ultimately see how that pans out. But yes, the Lamar Brown official visit tour begins this weekend, and it'll ultimately end in about a month with an LSU visit.
Shea Dixon on 3, the Bengal Tiger, and of course it's a great time to go sign up over at the Bengal Tiger on 3. Get Shea at Shea Dixon. We always appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Matt.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.